Tonight, summer's over, but the threat of bushfire catastrophe isn't. The CFS issues a stern warning to pastoralists across the region. And Southern Cross Television begins a year of celebration.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. First tonight, Port Pirie police are seeking information from the public following the murder of 49-year-old Rory Elliot at Talawi Beach last Friday. A 39-year-old local man known to the victim has been arrested and charged over the incident. Anyone who may have seen a 2008 Nissan Navara similar to this one pictured is urged to come forward. They're interested in any sightings in areas including Port Pirie, Nelshaby, Napperby and Talawi between Tuesday and Thursday last week. The CFS is reminding farmers and residents living in pastoral areas not to be complacent now that summer has come to an end. Burn-offs will begin over the coming months, but the service says the danger of bushfire potential isn't over.
While today marks the official start of autumn, it doesn't mean we're safe from bushfire catastrophe.
The summer period's not finished yet, and the fire danger season isn't finished yet either.
In areas like the Flinders Ranges in Clare, fire crews were kept busy this season due to lightning strikes. The CFS in Port Lincoln also battled as storm fronts rolled through.
The few that did come through came with a bit of moisture, so we were quite fortunate.
The quiet season is forcing the CFS to urge the public not to let its guard down, as hot temperatures and fire conditions are not over yet.
The real danger is becoming miscomplacent.
Farmers and growers living in pastoral areas can now obtain permits from the council to begin burn-offs before seeding commences in a few weeks. Fire crews say the risk is heightened during this time because of fluctuating weather conditions.
If people do have a permit or are undertaking a controlled burn, make sure you know what the weather pattern for the next several days is going to be so that you don't lose that fire.
CFS volunteers will remain on alert, but Commander Gavin Warren says the onus is on residents to keep safe.
Go back through your fire plan and check that it's still up to date, especially now that children are back at school as well.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
The main street of Wilmington is set for a facelift after decades of holding on to its horse and cart style. After years of waiting, the Mount Remarkable Council has finally received a state government grant for the upgrade.
The town of Wilmington was established in 1876 and its main street hasn't changed much since then.
Realistically, if you look across the main street, it was done in the old wagon and horse days, and we have 33 metres of wide street with a 6 metre gap down the middle.
The local council says the unmarked large gaps on each side of the two-lane road are a safety issue, with many motorists using the space as an extra lane. Now, with a state government grant, it's set for an upgrade.
And that was all about enhancing the main street, but also building a number of factors for road safety. So over the period of time, it's been announced this recently, and we're very proud, and I've got $140,000, which then council will match those funds.
After making the Main Street upgrade a town priority in 2012, the council finally has the tick of approval for a state government grant.
It's really exciting to see that council has applied for this grant and it's come through, and one of our top 10 priorities will be addressed.
Trees, plants, better line marking and pedestrian and disability-friendly curbs, all part of the plans.
Things like this Main Street grant will only enhance what's already here.
Let's attract businesses, and council will support those businesses established, is to try and get that vibrant heart into the town again.
It's expected to take a year to complete. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Night works are set to begin on the Silverton wind farm. So far, 5 wind turbines have been built, which can be seen from Broken Hill. AGL says it's working in the evenings to take advantage of windless weather. It's aiming to have the project finished by the end of July. One of Broken Hill's iconic buildings is set to get a new lease on life. Councillors voted in favour to construct a new library incorporating the Town Hall facade at last night's meeting.
All in favour for a new chapter in the Silver City's history books.
I think that's an incredibly important decision and a fantastic step forward for the city more broadly.
Last night, councillors supported building a new library on the city's main street, incorporating the historic facade into the design. The decision also means Broken Hill's archives will no longer be transferred to the basement of the council admin building, which had previously been described as a problematic process.
If we're going to build a new building, it makes sense to have the library and the archives together, so that's a really positive outcome for the city.
The BHB Billiton Foundation originally donated $5.7 million to digitise the archives and move them into the basement. It's been consulted about the change of plans. The money was also for constructing informative mineral parklets on Argent Street, a project that's now dead in the water.
We'll integrate elements of the Living Museum Perfect Light plan that involved the mineral art intersections and interpreting those minerals. We'll integrate those into the cultural precinct and the design and the build.
Another topic which caused heated discussion was the employment of a workplace health and safety officer at council. The General Manager argued the role was a necessity, and in the past, Council was lucky when it came to workplace safety.
I want to see and want to ensure that the staff that arrive at work in fit and healthy state in the morning leave so in the afternoon.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
After the break, a group of apprentices begin their employment journeys at the Whyalla Steelworks. That's next. Port Pirie locals are being encouraged to help make the town shine by participating in Clean Up Australia Day this Sunday. This year's clean-up will take place at Memorial Oval Park and finish at Phoenix Park Wetlands around midday with a well-deserved sausage sizzle.
From your household waste and also your green waste from around your house as well, from 10 until 2 at the Port Pirie transfer station.
Council will also be offering residents half-price hard waste disposal to thank them for their efforts. SA Best claims the state government isn't doing enough to clean up Port Augusta's power station site. It's promising to remediate the problematic area to a best practice standard.
A pledge to fix the Port Augusta power station site once and for all. If elected, SA Best is promising locals to properly clean up the Ash Dam and Bird Lake. It's labelled the move an urgent priority.
It triggers a nationwide best practice. So we know there are going to be more closures, we know what's going to happen in Liddell, we know what's happening in Hazelwood. We want to see that actually flow onto there.
Locals have been dealing with the stench from the dried up lake and suspected toxic dust blowing from the ash dams for nearly 2 years. The party is also pledging to implement an inquiry into the health impacts the closure seems to have caused.
We believe there should be nothing to hide for anyone, and as a result of that we're saying let's do that inquiry into those health impacts. If there hasn't been any health impacts, well then the inquiry will tell us that.
Yet the Libs say SA Best's plans aren't all new.
I am pleased that SA Best has adopted the Liberals' position, which is to remediate to world's best practice.
Mr Van Holst Pelican says the Liberals have also been pushing for a similar inquiry.
I've put in dozens of freedom of information requests to the government seeking the information that they have so that I can make an assessment and so that I can discuss with experts what would be the appropriate way to deal with this.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Meantime, a re-elected Labor government says it'll commit funds towards a new sporting complex in Whyalla. The party has also pledged to work with the local council and Commonwealth to secure extra funds and a site.
As Port Pirie and Port Augusta reap the benefits of new sporting facilities, Whyalla remains firmly stuck in the past. Discussions have been held for years with many goals set, yet few of them have been kicked. Labor is now stepping onto the field, delivering funds to help get the ball rolling.
And we think Whyalla's best days are in front of it, and we're very pleased to be able to make this pledge.
$5 million will go towards a proposed $15 million complex. A venue has yet to be decided upon, but using Air High once the new Whyalla High School opens is a short price favourite.
We'll work with the council, the sporting organisations and the community to determine what's best for the long-term future.
It'll also need council and Commonwealth funds to proceed.
We're putting $5 million on the table and inviting both council and the federal government to be part of that.
All sports will have the chance to apply to be tenants.
We're now focusing on building Whyalla's assets up, making them modern, decent assets that the whole community can be proud of.
In a statement, Whyalla Council welcomed the funding and will work to get the project completed. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The tradition of the Whyalla Steelworks taking on local apprentices is alive once again. GFG Alliance says it's pleased to be creating local jobs and giving local youth a pathway to employment.
For over 50 years, a steelworks apprenticeship has been a road to long-term employment within Whyalla. Despite a rocky 2 years casting a shadow over the lifeblood of the city, the next batch has been selected and is in the early stages of training at the local TAFE.
So we've got fitters and turners and electricians are what we're focusing on. We've found that that's the real gap, the need that we need for the future.
The dozen young men will be spread out across the company's steel and mining divisions. The first few weeks will be spent in the classroom and in the workshop filing, before heading out on site. The company says it's great to be opening doors once again.
We're under new ownership, we're building for the future. We're looking at not only maintaining our current skill base, but growing it for our long-term sustainability.
And the apprentices themselves have welcomed the intake, saying they're lucky to be able to gain such employment in a local setting.
I'm glad I didn't want to have to leave Whyalla to find work, so I'm very happy and fortunate to have landed the job in Whyalla, which is good for myself and the town.
The job I had before wasn't really going anywhere, so I saw a great opportunity to pursue a career with GFG.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
As it prepares to shine in Sydney's Mardi Gras parade this weekend, the Broken Hill Festival has received a big funding boost. Today it was given a cheque for $20,000 as part of Destination New South Wales regional flagship funding. The money will go toward further marketing and promotion of the event.
It starts off, where people are in their hundreds that are attending. I would expect this festival over years to come to attract thousands. So the locals are on board, they're doing a great job.
It goes towards, I guess, making sure that we're getting the word out about the festival all around Australia. So we do print campaigns, television, radio, online.
This year's Broken Hill Festival will be held in September. After the break, we look back on the past 50 years as Southern Cross Television embarks on a major milestone. Well, it's not often a television network turns the camera on itself, but this evening we're doing just that, and for good reason. Today marks the beginning of our 50th year of broadcasting Southern Cross Television across the Spencer Gulf and Broken Hill, and tonight we look back at that half a century of local television.
The journey began back in 1968, where the world of TV was simply black and white.
Everything was put to tape, then it had to be put to another tape, then it was put to, I think, to another tape, and it went to airs.
Fast forward to 1974 and Central GTS BKN was born. Colour broadcasting followed not long after. Television programs have come and gone over the years, but local news has always been at the forefront.
Good evening. In tonight's late news, no cause for the Red Hill train disaster which saw more than 50 people injured has yet been found.
It just keeps everybody in the community up to date with, exactly what is happening in our community. So it's about us, not about the rest of the world.
A highlight for many who've worked here, watching young TV journalists build successful careers in the industry.
We had many journalists who went on to establish themselves in Adelaide, and that was, I think, a feather in the cap for this station.
Seeing the young journalists start out their career with us and then watching them move on to have successful careers in the TV industry.
Today, in its 50th year, Southern Cross broadcasts to 9 different channels to a huge audience.
Right across the region, we've got around about 138,000 viewers. They span from Port Lincoln up through to Whyalla, Port Augusta, down to Port Pirie, and as far as the York Peninsula through to Wallaroo, and then back right up to Broken Hill. So it covers a very big region.
Although the years may have gone by, the culture of Southern Cross TV remains the same.
It's like a second family. We're there for each other, we celebrate each other's birthdays, and it really is a great place to work.
And while it's unknown where Southern Cross TV will be in the next 50 years, it'll be sure to keep up with the times.
I think in another 50 years' time, Southern Cross Television will be even stronger than what it is today.
Thanks very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy what we have in the year ahead and the years after that. So thank you very much.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
We've certainly come a very long way. Time now for fishing tips.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel North. Well, you can just start to feel that change of season, and there's a few strange fish starting to pop up here. There's some dolphin fish up around the top of the Gulf, up around the train bridge area, and also behind me they've got a couple of sweep off the jetty, off the wharf here as well. Crabs, big and full of meat at the moment. Also, there's been some snapper down around the powerhouse area, and also the east side snapper ground. The garfish should be starting to show up along the shacks there, and also just before Easter you should start seeing a few squid start to rock up as well.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Lincoln. Starting up in the Gulf, the snapper reports have been pretty quiet, but the best reports have been from inshore at Port Neal and Arno Bay. A few whiting, snook, garfish, plenty of squid around out there. Down around Port Lincoln, there's been a few garfish around the bay. There's been great catches of crabs around the bay. Inshore at Coffin Bay, there's been a few whiting, and there's been some good trevally around the sandhills and a few garfish around there as well. That's it for this week. We'll see you again next week.
Stay with us. After the break, we'll have all the local weather details with Amy Stevenson. And Amy, has the Spencer Gulf seen the last of these summer temperatures?
Not quite yet, Fraser, with some warmer days predicted for the first weekend of autumn around the Spencer Gulf. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back. It was a warm day in Port Augusta, 32 the top there. Whyalla reached 27, while the cooler temperatures remained in Port Lincoln with a top of 24. Broken Hill reached 30, while temperatures hovered in the high 20s to low 30s in all other centres. Checking the satellite, and light showers over the southern and southeastern parts of the state as the cold front moves away. The cloudy skies in the north won't bring any rain. If you're planning on spending time on the waters tomorrow, there will be a southerly wind shifting southwesterly up to 20 knots. Seas will reach 1.5 metres and the sun will pop up at 7:06. Taking a look at tomorrow's conditions, and temperatures will creep back up in Port Augusta with a top of 35, while Whyalla will see 31. Temperatures will remain cooler in Port Lincoln and 27, while temperatures in Woodna and Corn will hover in the mid-30s. A warm day also in Broken Hill, reaching 33, with temperatures hovering in the high 20s to low 30s in all other districts. Looking towards the weekend, and a cooler change will see temperatures dip below 30 for the most of the weekend in Port Lincoln. Cleve can expect 26 on Saturday before cooling down to 22 on Sunday, while it'll be a slightly warmer in Woodna with 31 on Saturday before 27 heading into next week. Further up the Gulf, and temperatures in Whyalla will hover in the mid-20s over the weekend and on Monday. Port Augusta will be slightly warmer and 28 on Monday. Meanwhile, temperatures in Kadina will also hover in the mid-20s. Port Pirie will remain slightly warmer over the weekend and 33 on Saturday before tops of 29 on Sunday and Monday. Clare will reach 30 on Saturday before temperatures drop to 25 on Sunday. However, summer isn't ready to say goodbye to Broken Hill just yet, with a top of 37 on Saturday before 32 on Sunday. So Fraser, there will be some summer temperatures hanging around the Spencer Gulf during the first weekend of autumn.
Be sure to soak up the last of that summer sun. Thank you, Amy. And that's the news to now. Thanks for your company. Good night.